Nintendo stuff. Separated by cosmic cabinets, Brandon and Logan are broadcasting Nintendo stuff live using our telepathic powers. My name is Brandon Miracle. Welcome to today's episode 53. Logan just woke up from a nap. A little impromptu, but, things happen. How do you feel, though?
A little bit groggy. I planned on half an hour, but I set my alarm to AM, not PM. So, yeah, I'd really planned on having a methodical short nap that would have really given me a boost, and I way overshot it, and now I'm still trying to gather myself.
I use an app called Sleep Cycle that's been really helpful in getting me restful sleep. It is subscription based. I mean, it's free, but there's a subscription based version that comes with a few extra features, more data analytics, and more. They have sleep aids that you can turn on that will play for half an hour and then slowly fade out. I mean, it's designed to fade out by the time that you should ideally be out.
Right.
And yeah, it's been really, really useful. I saw Janet Garcia over at IGN has also been using it. It's funny. She posted about it just a few days after I had started using it. But yeah, it's been really helpful. So that's our sleep talk on Nintendo Stuff podcast. So we've been away for a bit. We had that big Nintendo Direct, so we kind of grouped a couple episodes there together and then took a short break because there's usually a lull after Nintendo Directs, and that's not exactly the case anymore. We're kind of back in the swing of things in terms of news. Nintendo revealed a brand new peripheral and game just a couple days ago, so we have that to talk about, and plenty of games have come out in September and or are still coming out in September, a few of which I am incredibly excited about in the next couple weeks. But why don't we go ahead and just start with Nintendo's weirdest but kind of strange but also kind of cool announcement that they teased a couple weeks ago and then gave us a full reveal not too long after. And that is Ring Fit Adventure, which seems to be a spiritual successor to Wii Fit, featuring a new proprietary peripheral that I'm assuming is designed by Nintendo. They haven't talked about involvement from any other company at this point. But it's interesting. You strap the Joy-Con into the ring, and then you also have one that goes around your leg to track leg movement, which I thought was pretty cool, too. And each one takes a Joy-Con. But the thing about the ring is that it can detect, the way that it's bounding and it's shaped. So they can use that to measure strength, how much power you're putting into it, and they've basically designed a bunch of mini games as well as a full single-player RPG adventure around this peripheral. Wow, that's the most Nintendo thing they've done since the Wii came out.
Yeah, it's pretty wacky, for sure.
Yeah, it's like a remnant of the Iwata era of home console idealism, So I wonder, if this is something that he had been working on or was involved with before his passing, or how that how that went down, because with the I can't remember his name, but the kind of stand-in president after him, things kind of took a turn to the more hardcore, I would say. Nintendo kind of refocused their product design and the software lineup that they had been working on. Obviously, some or a lot of that stuff had been in development during, Iwata's presidency, but there was definitely a shift in Nintendo's performance after his passing. And it's kind of cool to finally kind of get back in this direction. I've mentioned on the show before, especially before E3, that I miss Wii Sports, Wii Fit, those kinds of casual games, because they're fun and they're calm and they're relaxing, and in this case, it's exercise too. And I know we differed a little bit in our initial reactions to this, so I kind of want to get a little bit more from you.
Yeah, I mean, uh, mine was kind of a mix of a lot of things. I guess I can talk about, um, I it's very Nintendo, obviously. Um, I don't know how much I will be investing in it. Considering I kind of have other ways of getting physical that I prefer. So I don't know what the longevity is. The one thing I did react was like, initially was that I feel like a lot of people are gonna buy it and it collects dust, specifically like the peripherals. And then later kind of reacted with, well, I hope that at the very least, like Nintendo can come out with more software, you know,
Yeah.
that uses the peripherals as opposed to it kind of just being a one shot thing and and then it collecting dust.
And I've been thinking about that, and obviously that this is marketed in a way that the idea is that you would use this continually. Like, not only is there the RPG adventure where you use fitness techniques in order to actually progress through the game and battle enemies and whatnot, but there's also the quick play mode where, it gives you the short burst of exercises in a lot similar way to the way Wii Fit was designed. And then there's mini games and some other stuff, but unlike the Wii Balance Board, I honestly have a hard time seeing this being used in any other software than Ring Fit. So, like,
Mm.
at this point, I don't see this being used outside of the game unless it's used in a sequel to Ring Fit. Because the Wii Balance Board, in the case of Wii Fit, like, it's the star of the show of that game. And then it's used as, like, an extra thing in some other games. Like, I think you could use it in Punch-Out for dodging and, the basically Little Mac's posture and how he's standing. I know you could use it in Wii Music. There was a drumming mode that you could use it as the foot pedal. And outside of that, like, I can't think of any other games that used it that didn't have Wii Fit in the title.
Yeah, there was a Super Monkey Ball game, Step and Roll, that used it. Um, but see, that's the thing. Like, because it was so specific, like, you would stand on it and you would move on it. Like, I feel like that makes it more limited than what they might use the Ring Fit, accessories for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like you could get a lot more creative. I don't know. I don't necessarily know what that would be. Um,
I
but
think in a certain way, that's partly what makes this exciting to me.
mm,
Because it reminds me of that era of Nintendo where they would announce a strange peripheral and everyone would be like, what is this supposed to be for? And then we got to experience all the fun ways that they got to use it.
yeah,
Obviously, like, nothing was quite as successful as the Wii Remote, because obviously that got used for the entirety of that console's life, as well as the console that followed it. And they had less successful attempts with things like the Wii U gamepad and whatnot. But this brings me back to an era of Nintendo where they're just willing to try things. And that's
yeah,
one of the reasons I like them.
yeah. I wonder where my Wii Zapper is sitting right
What a contraption that was. I mean, at this point, you could just 3D print your own.
now. Yeah, all right.
Uh, but yeah, I think the game is retailing for $79.99, which is the game plus the ring and the leg strap, and it comes out in the middle of October, so a pretty quick turnaround from reveal to launch. I think the strategy for how they announced this was good. They didn't talk about it in the Nintendo Direct. It was a video that they just put up on YouTube and Twitter at like 8 o'clock at night, either the day of or the day after the Direct, and they're like, we've got something to tell you about. We'll hear about it next week. And it was this sizzle reel of people using this weird ring thing that had a Joy-Con in it. I think that strategy was good because if they had revealed this, either in the Direct or just all at once, I think the reaction to the peripheral would have been a little different. It's already got a strange reaction on Twitter where people are like, what is this thing for? Why is Nintendo out here doing all this strange stuff? But Nintendo's gotten pretty smart at how they handle this. They soften the blow first, and then they show you what it's all about.
Yeah.
I think not telling us what it was while also showing it to us was a good strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what goes on with that by the time it comes out, and Ring Fit Trainer for Smash. Anyway, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate grabbed multiple awards at the Tokyo Game Show. Mr. Sakurai was there to accept them. They won Game of the Year, Minister of Economy, Trade, and Industry Award, Best Sales Award, and the Award for Excellence. And I also wanted to mention this because Sakurai, in his acceptance speech, if you haven't watched it, it's on YouTube translated. He basically attributes Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as former President Iwata's last mission to him. So he sees this game as not only his magnum opus, but this is the game that is Iwata's whole legacy as, the president of Nintendo and a friend and, all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was pretty sweet. Sakurai delves even a little deeper in just like how he feels about Smash Brothers. It was nice to hear him talk on such a personal level. So if you haven't gotten a chance to check that out, I'd highly recommend it. It just made me like Sakurai even more as a person to know, that it really does mean that much to him. This isn't just for show. I mean, that said, like, if you didn't think he was passionate about his work at this point, you're crazy.
You can't get a game like Smash Bros. Without passion.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't exist.
No, I mean, the fact that we even have it now is just a miracle, and even Sakurai sees it that way.
Yeah.
He even talked a little bit about DLC and how, Smash will probably never manage to do this again, so at this point, his strategy is just to keep adding DLC to the game for X amount of years and make it as big as possible so that that name Ultimate is always truthful.
Oh, man. It's going to be really disappointing in the future.
Yeah, whenever that next game gets revealed and the roster's like, 50, 60 characters, when at this point we're like 80. I think by the end of the DLC we'll be over 100 if they don't just stop at 100.
Man.
Yeah, this
nutty.
He's excited about this being the biggest video game collaboration of all time. You can tell he takes pride in that, bringing all these developers together to make something special. And it's also kind of nice that all this comes out after the launch of Banjo-Kazooie, because, of all the characters in Smash Brothers, that was by far the most unlikely addition to the roster. But, Sakurai and Xbox, or Microsoft, they made it happen. So at this point, anything's possible. For all we know, Banjo isn't even going to be the only Microsoft representative. There might be a Master Chief or, someone from Gears of War. Who knows? Minecraft Steve. Yeah, it's crazy. But, I just wanted to bring that up because I love Sakurai and I love these little stories about him. Excuse me. Next up, the Super Nintendo controllers for Nintendo Switch. The ones exclusive to Nintendo Switch Online members are available for purchase at $29.99, and they are already sold out. So if you don't have one, you're gonna have to wait for a bit. I remember,
one.
I know, I kind of do too. Specifically for that D-pad. Like, the D-pad might be the main reason that I'd want to get one.
Right.
And $30, that's not too bad. Not by controller price standards these days.
And it's wireless, and it looks slick, and yeah, I really like it.
And the form factor is a little different than you and I had initially anticipated, because, we were under the impression it'd be like the NES controllers and slide and dock onto the Switch, but they didn't do it like that. It just has a charging port, and all the buttons are where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. I'm glad, though, because, honestly, why?
Yeah, I still feel that way about the NES controllers.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of that?
Because they could.
I mean, I guess it did need L and R buttons, and you know, the old Famicom controllers were tethered to the Famicom unit. I know it's kind of a cute thing, but come on. We didn't need that.
Could you imagine holding those? Like how uncomfortable that would be?
How would you even play anything like that?
I don't know.
I want to know who the guy is that plays their games with their NES controllers docked onto their Switch in handheld
They
mode.
immediately started mass production and they picked up the first one that was like finished and they were like, yo, we gotta get rid of this dude.
So yeah, if you want to get one, you'll probably have to wait if you don't already have it purchased. Next up, Unova Pokemon, otherwise known as Pokemon from the Black and White games, have started to arrive in Pokemon Go. I've got a few of them myself. I've got Lillipup and is it Glammeow? Is that its name?
I don't know. I caught a Lillipup and a Purloin. So, cats
Oh.
and dogs.
I think it is Purloin. There's too many cat Pokemon. There's too many Pokemon. But yeah,
Take that
it's all
back.
available in Pokemon Go, and it's going to be a slow rollout like they've done with every generation. So if you're still actively playing Pokemon Go, you've got some work to do. This is an interesting one. A new Pokemon was added to the Pokemon Sword and Shield website. In a tweet on Pokemon's Twitter account, they tweeted that new Pokemon were coming to the game, and they linked to the website. And when you go to the website, there's this weird, glitchy-looking GIF that you can click on that is just, like, slapped in the corner of the screen. And if you click on it, a Pokemon cry happens. And then it takes you to the Pokedex entry, which isn't completely filled out. This is the weirdest Pokemon reveal they've ever done, but I'm kind of here for it.
It's missing no.
That was the first thing I thought. Though the image of the Pokemon kind of looks like Scorbunny with green ears.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I really don't know what to make of it. That said, we won't have long until we know what it is, because I believe they said that they're going to officially unveil the Pokemon tomorrow. And if it's tomorrow in Japan, that could literally mean any minute now the new Pokemon will be revealed. If it hasn't already happened, for all I know. I haven't been on Twitter for a couple hours. So yeah, there's that. And one last bit of Pokemon news. I talked about this a couple weeks back as a possibility, and it came true. Ash has won the Pokemon League in the Alola region. And if it means what I think it means, I believe that is signaling the official end of the very, very long-running Pokemon anime series.
Go buy a Pokemon anime.
And then welcome back Pokemon anime when they reveal the new one on September 29th. So I watched the battle on YouTube. It was pretty good. It's nice seeing Ash win. That said, I don't think it was as exciting as some of the battles he's had in the past. But, you know, it's an anime for kids. You can't expect the world with the Pokemon anime.
I mean, you can. Not that you'll be.
I don't think it should be
but
it shouldn't be an accurate feeling that you should have, because you will be upset when you go back and watch the show.
actually, my next video for the channel is gonna be me getting unrighteously angry at how unclimactic
Anticlimactic.
the final battle was.
Yeah,
Start
the final
raging.
battle
even
that
though
you
I've
haven't
never
even
like
seen.
watched like past the first season on the show.
There was some good animation in there, especially there was a battle between Pikachu and Zoroark, and Ash used Pikachu's Z move, and the animation for that was really cool. And I think the reason that the battle left me feeling lukewarm is that the rest of the battle didn't live up to that moment, and it wasn't even the final two Pokemon on the field. That said, they did end it with a battle between the two forms of Lycanroc, which I guess had kind of an arc over the course of Sun and Moon. So for people who had been keeping up with it long term, that was probably pretty satisfying. But for me, it didn't do a whole lot. But
Right.
you know, I might go back and watch the whole thing now, because I think it was only a little over 100 episodes, which I think is short by Pokemon standards.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, just wanted to bring that up. What else in the gaming world of Nintendo? There's a patent for a hinged Joy-Con, and I don't think we've talked about this yet.
I dig this. I really dig this. I think it makes sense for bigger hands.
Mm-hmm.
As a grown adult man, I probably have larger average hands than the average child, um, which makes for larger controllers to be something that I'm a fan of. Whatever this is, I hope we see it soon in some official capacity, because honestly, if it makes it easier to play in handheld, more enjoyable to play in handheld,
Mm-hmm.
I am all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It, in a way, it kind of reminds me of like a thruster on like the Star Wars pod racing arcade machine. I don't know why. It's just like that shape. I could imagine having my hands on it with my thumbs on the joysticks as if they were fire buttons. I don't know. I feel like there's some potential for that. And I also like, excuse me. Sorry. I don't even remember what I was gonna say. Oh, this shape, or the way that the Joy-Con bends, kind of reminds me of a design I've been seeing in a lot of remotes lately. Like the Samsung remote I have in my basement is, it's angular, it's arced.
Mhm.
So your palm would rest on the bottom, and then it arcs over on the top half of the remote. That makes it more comfortable to hold.
Mhm.
So it could also just be Nintendo following a trend of remote design that I've seen lately.
Well, and then also just controller design,
Oh yeah, there's that
Like-
natural bend.
Yeah,
Just makes it more ergonomic.
right.
So
So
what we
that's
know of
what I see
patents is that they don't always come to fruition. So I wouldn't expect this to come out, but it's certainly a possibility. And it's not often that we get a patent that uses such an accurate design to the actual hardware.
Mhm.
So like when you look at this, yeah, that is clearly a Joy-Con. So I have a feeling like this one might come to fruition just because the design feels so complete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
What was the last thing that we got that was just like really weird for Nintendo, that like, oh, here's a patent, and then we got it. Oh,
the
it was
IR
the
camera on the Joy-Con?
No, actually, I think I was thinking of the VR stuff, the Toy-Con VR.
Oh yeah,
That's
you're
what I was
right.
thinking.
I forgot about that.
We're
Yeah,
like,
that,
no, there's no way they're doing this, and then it comes
and then they
out.
did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's always good to keep an eye on these, because then we can kind of speculate on what's going to happen, in the short future, specifically like with Labo VR. The turnaround time on that patent release to it actually being in the folks' hands was pretty quick.
Yeah.
A note about Nintendo Switch Online, NES, and SNES games. They will no longer be released on a monthly basis. It will now be on an irregular schedule. And to be frank with you, I saw this coming.
I mean, I don't necessarily mind it. I mean, as long as I know the games are coming. Though I am anxious for the next set of SNES games. That's for sure. There's
There's some
probably a
notable
few
ones
that I'd love
missing.
to see. Especially some of the better like third party ones. Like, could you imagine getting like Goof Troop? That'd be dope.
I love that game, so yes, please. And it's a great multiplayer game. They could show off the online with that. I mean, we're also missing the DKC trilogy. We're missing Super Mario All-Stars. Any other big first-party games? Earthbound? Like, this, we need Earthbound on there.
Yes,
I will
please.
actually
Yes,
play
please.
it for the first time all the way through if it's on Switch Online. And then, some third-party stuff from Square Enix. Like, I'd love it if they put Super Mario RPG, Chrono Trigger, specifically Chrono Trigger, because that's a game I've always wanted to play and have never really had like a great scenario that I could play it in. So I would definitely like to see that. Final Fantasy VI or Final Fantasy III here in the States, because I don't think that's on the current roster. That's another like tentpole Final Fantasy game that I'd love to get to try. Yeah, so plenty of stuff that I think should definitely be on there. Secret of Mana, like, you can play that game 3 players. It's a perfect fit for Switch Online. Well, I guess there is the collection of Mana out now, and they probably don't want to compete with
might
that.
kind of stop that from getting on that service.
Yeah. But yeah, there's plenty of games left for us to get, and maybe if we're lucky on the next year's anniversary of Switch Online, they'll introduce N64 games. Though if you're asking me, I would.
I'm not
hope that we get that
expecting
sooner.
that, but I'd love to.
Yeah, well, they need to continue to make this a service that people are like actively excited about, and I feel like we really won't hit that premium level until we at least get Nintendo 64 games on there.
Yeah. Original Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, I mean, that is the system where having online multiplayer for retro games actually starts to really mean something. Like, you have Mario Kart, Mario Party, Super Smash Brothers 64. There's plenty of games. There's a bunch of multiplayer games in Banjo-Tooie. Not that we'd ever get Banjo-Tooie on there, but I can hope.
We can all hope.
Yeah, and then like one of the last games that got added to the Wii U Virtual Console, wasn't it Donkey Kong 64? And now the Wii U's kind of dead, so the opportunity to play that game has once again been whisked away from the players. The quality of that game notwithstanding.
I remember playing a little bit as a young, but I mean, since then I haven't really touched it, so I don't remember a ton.
The only reason I even
but I
wanted
do-
it as a kid is because it had that banana-colored 64 cartridge.
Oh yeah, I just like the idea of playing as my characters in a 3D environment. Like, like I still wish that we had like a really real like Kirby 3D game that wasn't like Kirby Air Ride or something like that.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that lately. Even before you said it, that was the first series to come to mind. I feel like, Kirby is such an experimental series for Nintendo. They're always doing weird and crazy things with the Kirby franchise. Taking Kirby to 3D could really do something for the series. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I am not the biggest fan of the traditional Kirby side-scrolling games. I prefer the spin-off games like Super Kirby Clash, Kirby Air Ride, Kirby Topsy Turvy, or Tilt and Tumble. I think it's Tilt and Tumble. Yeah, I like the classic Kirby 2D platformers, but the new ones aren't really doing anything super exciting. So trying a new 3D game would be fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be pretty dope. And like with that, you could even like include like riding stars as like a way to get around. That'd be pretty dope.
Oh, and then you could introduce some multiplayer air ride modes, have a city trial mode in there.
Yeah, you could also throw in some like gas stations that you could rob, and you could like steal other people's stars and then get guns. And I mean, who wouldn't want Kirby with a gun?
Kirby already has a gun. He's got a gun. He's got multiple guns in Smash Bros. He's got Joker's gun. He's got Bayonetta's guns.
Watch out, kids.
Kirby's got the Glock, yo. You're gonna die. So that's it for most of the first-party Nintendo news, but we should talk a little bit about some of the games coming up and the reason that I have no life right now because I can't keep up with everything. Daemon X Machina just came out. We had Astral Chain just come out last month. At the end of this week, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is coming out. And if you're one of the lucky few that got one of the leaked copies, I hate you, but also have fun.
Stay safe.
Yeah. And then for me personally, I know it's a big franchise, but it's still pretty niche. Like Dragon Quest next Friday, I am unbelievably excited for that. I mean, it's kind of a new series for me, and it's not very often that you get to experience something that's so fresh to you, but like has already had so many years to kind of find its legs. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like they know how to make Dragon Quest 11 games in, and I get to start with that one.
Yeah.
So I mean, between that and Link's Awakening, and we have Ring Fit coming out in the middle of next month, and then Luigi's Mansion 3 at the end of next month, it's a good time to be a Nintendo fan. Like, there's a lot to do.
Yeah, I feel like we've been saying that for the last 2 years. Man, it's really good to be a fan of Nintendo.
Mhm.
Like in the age of the Switch. Like it's just we have everything and then everything keeps coming out, I'm still like working my way through Doom 2, but I'm like I'm very, very hyped for Doom 64, which is
Mhm.
like I think a November release.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same way for the original 3 Dragon Quest games, because they're launching alongside Dragon Quest 11. And I'm like, I'm going to be, up to my neck in Dragon Quest for a while. Yeah, I mean, we're off the heels of Fire Emblem Three Houses, and that game is still getting active DLC, and I think it will until spring of next year with more actual story content. So the train keeps moving, and it's not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, my brother texted me recently saying that he was crying during the second part of Three Houses.
Oh,
So,
good. Yeah, man, that game's
I haven't
so
gotten
good.
there, but
It's a treat. That whole game's a treat, honestly. But yeah, it's been hard. Like, there's a lot of games that I want to get, but I can't because they're all coming out at the same time. Untitled Goose Game also comes out on Friday, and I'm gonna have to prioritize Zelda over that. I mean, sorry, Untitled Goose Game, but it's Zelda. It's kind of important.
I can't believe you.
Hey,
We've known
man.
about Untitled Goose Game longer, and you've already played
Actually,
Link's
we have
Awakening.
known about Link's Awakening longer than an Untitled Goose Game for
Not the
many,
remake,
many, many years.
and you've already played it.
I was a kid when I played it. I don't even remember it.
Yeah, well, you've never played Untitled Goose Game.
You're right. I'll probably play it eventually. If you guys want to send us a code for that, be my guest.
For your members.
Yeah, so I mean, there's that. Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch, the remaster came out on Switch. Gosh, there's more. Monster Hunter World Iceborne. I know it's not a Switch game, but that's been occupying a lot of my time.
Yeah, I've put an extra like 20 hours into that game since that DLC came out.
Yeah. And obviously for us, being such big Monhun fans, we're gonna definitely prioritize that pretty much over anything else at the time. Borderlands 3 came out. I was initially going to get that, but like I said, there's just so much happening right now. I can't deal with it all. Control came out, and that game's getting wild critical acclaim. AI, the Somnium Files came out today, a game that Joe and Santi have been talking about, and now it's a game I want to try. But I don't have time or money. Someone help. There's too many games. Like the stream title says, I'm going to die. Or I'm going to cry myself to sleep.
Everybody slow down for a second.
It's like 2017 all over again. Maybe worse. We had Odyssey and Zelda and Monster Hunter World. Well, I guess that was technically 2018, but even then. Or was it 2017? When did that game come out?
Which one?
World. Oh, it came out in 2018. Because we haven't hit the 2-year anniversary yet. It was January 2018, right?
Yeah, I was somewhere around there.
There's too much to do.
Long.
I started playing Monster Hunter World on PC just a couple hours ago. While I'm still playing the Iceborne expansion on PS4. This is bad.
The only reason at this point I'd get the PC version is for the mods.
I just got it to play with Michaela because I'm not going to buy a second PS4 just to do that. Right. It's a lot easier to do it this way. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to, a lot going on right now, and hopefully everyone's getting to play the games that they like, because there's really something for everyone. Gears 5 just came out. Um, Not really a Gears guy myself, but I could play it. It's on Game Pass and it's on PC.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of games, the Game Awards 2019 has had its date announced, being December 12th. I've actually been considering maybe taking the trip out to go myself. Haven't thought too deep into that yet, but it would be kind of fun. It's the 5-year anniversary of the Game Awards. Can you believe that?
No, because I mean, I feel like in a lot of ways, the Game Awards, came out of the mess that was like VGX.
VGX. Yeah, that's hard to forget.
And I guess it makes sense because that show felt forever ago. 5 years. Yeah. Bravo to Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, and I mean, every year over year, he makes it bigger and better. Like the focus of the show is becoming smaller and smaller, while what they bring to the show gets bigger and bigger, which I think is important. I mean, they have a legendary panel of people who curate the nominees and whatnot. And you can tell Jeff is just like really passionate about the industry, and he wants to make sure that he's doing it justice.
Yeah.
He put together the Gamescom show where they did all the game announcements, and Kojima came out on stage and played Death Stranding. Yeah, and that was a great show too. How does this man do all of this stuff?
I mean, he doesn't. He's probably got a team doing certain things.
Well, sure. But, it's got to be difficult running 2 big shows like that a year, because he starts planning the Game Awards for the next year right after the the one that they just did happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that. I'll let you guys know if I do end up planning on going, because I don't know yet. Like, I really want to. I'll say that. I just don't know. I'll keep you posted. And then we have some third-party news to go over. Bandai Namco has placed a trademark for Klonoa of the Wind Encore. It's been a long time since Klonoa has had a new game, so this could signal Klonoa's return. So for those of you who are Klonoa fans, I think you have something to look forward to. I've never personally played a Klonoa game, but I've heard from a lot of people that they're really good. So maybe with this game, I will actually take a shot. And you look like you don't even know what Klonoa is.
Looks like a Sonic character.
Kind
Or a
of.
fan character.
The kind of hook to Klonoa's gameplay is that he's got this ring that he can use to pick up enemies, and then you use the enemies as platforms. Like, you jump in the air, and he throws them down and jumps off of them to gain more height.
Oh.
So that's kind of the
Sounds
core
like a
mechanic.
Yeah. Sounds like
Yeah.
a neat loop.
The last Klonoa game that I even remember coming out was on Wii. So it's been quite some time. And I remember, I think the PS1 game, it was pretty cool because, like, Klonoa is a 2D sprite, but you're traversing a 3D environment, and the camera kind of follows you. It was a neat visual perspective that was pretty unique at the time. Not so much these days, but pretty cool. So yeah, there's that to look forward to. Bandai Namco has more news, though, with Taika no Tatsujin. The Nintendo Switch and PS4 versions are getting Undertale DLC. Man, Toby Fox is getting around.
Yeah, he's probably making a pretty penny as well.
Yeah. So Megalovania, Heartache, and Hopes and Dreams from Undertale will be joining Taika no Tatsujin. I'll probably end up buying that DLC because I really like Undertale. And those songs are great. Good on you, Toby Fox, for not only getting into Smash Brothers and also doing the music for Little Town Hero for Game Freak. Now your music is in Taika no Tatsujin, so good job. Everyone loves you, Toby. Sakurai loves Toby, too. He drove him home. And then some good news from Capcom. They've officially reconfirmed that the next Mega Man game is in development. I'm assuming this specifically means Mega Man 12.
Yeah.
So that's good news for Mega Man fans. Seems like 11 was successful enough for them to continue this going forward. My only worry is that they stop after this one, because we had that Mega Man revival on Wii with Mega Man 9, and that got a sequel with Mega Man 10, and then the franchise went silent again.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that they can find other ways to, evolve the series and really bring it forward. Because it seemed like they were trying some of that with Mega Man 11. Specifically, like, oh, we're not going to continue just doing the sprite stuff. We're going to actually, go out of our way to, bring it into, this era.
The design of that game too, like from its visual perspective, and the fact that it's just a core Mega Man game, definitely seemed like the answer to Mighty Number 9. Like the people who worked on that game clearly, wanted a real true Mega Man game, and they put their hearts into that game, and we got a good game out of it. And poor Keiji Inafune, who knows what he's doing at this point after Mighty Number 9, but boy, that was a disaster. And they also mentioned that they don't want to deny any of the other Mega Man series from a future. So, like Mega Man Star Force, Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, all of those games, all those franchises are still on the table. They don't consider them spin-offs. They consider them main series, and they aren't done with them. And I think that's evident by all the Legacy collections we've been getting.
Yeah, for sure.
We have all of Mega Man, all of Mega Man X, all of Mega Man Zero, and Mega Man ZX. So that covers all of the main series of side-scrollers. All that they haven't really touched is Mega Man Star Force, Mega Man Legends, and Mega Man Battle Network. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see collections for those in the future.
That'd be neat, because, I don't have a lot of experience with Mega Man outside of the original series and X. And even with X, it's like just limited. Mega Man X.
Gotcha. Yeah, I really feel like they're pushing the series hard. We had that cross-collaboration in Monster Hunter World where you could get a voxel Mega Man outfit for your Palico. It even came with music and all that. And obviously Mega Man 11 was a big hit, so yeah, I think the future is bright for this character after a very, very long slump. And I don't want to give all the credit to Sakurai, but being in Smash Brothers had to have something to do with that.
Definitely didn't hurt.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's exciting. I was kind of hoping that the announcement they were going to make was the next Switch mainline entry in the Monster Hunter series. But, they're riding on World right now, so it'll probably be a while before we see whatever's next for Monhun on Nintendo platforms.
Yeah, probably.
And if I had to guess, I think whatever happens next is going to be a spinoff. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a Monster Hunter Stories 2. Or even a remaster of the first one.
That would make sense.
Yeah, and, Monster Hunter Stories did fairly well. Like, it was received well. It got its own animated TV series. So they definitely want that to be a franchise in the vein of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Yokai Watch, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I think if they do that and they get the monsters into more media and get people familiar with them, they start seeing the monsters as characters and not so much as monsters. I think that would be good for the series.
Yeah, I think anything's going to help, especially with the success of World. Like, I think, now is the time to really capitalize on the visibility of the series and really, continue to market it.
Mm-hmm. So, we also have the Monster Hunter movie coming out at some point. Whether or not that's good or bad for the series, it's still Monster Hunter media in the mainstream.
Yeah,
which I think is
it'll be fun to see the Mons in that context. Because at least we know the designs are probably going to be pretty dope,
Yeah, like if I can see some big monsters fighting on screen, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the way we approach Detective Pikachu. We're like, as long as the Pokemon look great, we're not so worried about everything else.
Yeah.
So that pretty much wraps up Nintendo Stuff episode 53. We will be on a short hiatus from this point on until probably the first week of October, maybe the last week of September. It's kind of up in the air because, and Logan, I'll let you go from here.
Well, tonight's my last night with internet.
Ouch.
And not this coming weekend, but the next weekend, I will be moving in with Bay.
I'm Bay, by the way.
Brandon is Bay. I'll be moving in with Brandon. So the podcast will probably be a lot more lively.
And it'll
because
be
we'll
over
be in
there.
the same place. It won't be this format might just like right currently, like being in person is the rare format. This format right now will be the rare format.
I'm so excited to like realize that. That's such good news.
Yeah, we've already had a bunch of ideas in terms of like new segments and things that
New
are really gonna
shows.
podcasts and other new ideas outside of the podcast. I really look forward to seeing how we keep each other accountable, especially you keeping me accountable, because
I'm gonna be
I
in the
still
room
haven't
right next
uploaded
door
the
to
other
yours.
podcasts to the podcasting
I will
services.
open your bedroom door and throw stuff at you if I have to.
Don't worry, I've already thinking of creative ways to give you my rent money too.
Oh no. It better not be dirty. I need clean money.
It'll be fun. It'll be
good.
fun.
Good. Some of the stuff also like you know what? I'll give you guys a view. So sorry, this is a little off the cuff. If you're watching the video version, if you look at my screen, you will see my new stream setup. So I've got both my monitors, and then I built this. Well, I didn't build the shelf, but we put the shelf up on the wall. Me and my wife and my dad helped us out too. I got my Switch dock right there, an old Wii, and I'll put whatever other game consoles there. A gift from Dylan, that Sora statue. But basically, the reason I say this is because streaming will be a lot easier. Has been really streamlined. Whenever we have something we have to do to make a video, like everything's ready. It's always here. It's always set up, and I can just work on it and get it done. I should have showed you the cables, but like the cables are like wrapped behind the shelf because the shelf isn't flush with the wall. So the cables wrap behind the shelf and then go down. But my Ethernet adapter for my Switch wouldn't fit through the gap. So my dock has to be sideways and is all the way up against the wall because the connector is so short for the adapter. Yeah, it's kind of janky, but it's a lot cleaner of a setup than I had before.
Yeah, for sure.
And I do plan on acquiring an Elgato green screen here shortly, so the streams will go back to a more normal schedule. The green screen that I had, I still have it. Logan and I, we deconstructed it and got it out of my way because it was a big pain in my butt. Took up too much room. It was kind of obnoxious, so that's been dealt with. And then the last, well, not really the last thing, but one of the last things I want to do to this room, and if you follow me on Twitter at Babababs, you'll see that I don't have ceiling lights in this room. And the darkness that you see in here is what it looks like all the time. It's even worse when my studio lights aren't on. So I'm going to get ceiling lights, which should ramp up production of in-studio shoots because it'll be easier to shoot at any time of the day. I'm not bound by my very, very small light setup that I have here. So yeah, we'll be able to do a whole lot more. And I don't know, man, I'm getting hyped about all the things we're going to be able to do. And I have some ideas, some things that I want to make that I haven't talked about yet. There's some good stuff happening. So yeah, that's the short hiatus we'll be going on. So don't worry, we're still here, just not here also. Yeah, but we're working on it. You can officially say that the Break Room Arcade is under construction.
It is. Very
Yeah.
much so.
So with all that in mind, guys, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Babababs, follow Logan at LoggyDoves. Make sure to join our Discord server. There is a link to that in the YouTube video description, as well as I think it's in the description on podcast sources too, isn't it? Or okay, yeah. So lots of ways to get into our Discord server. We like talking with you guys, playing games together. It's just a fun way to be involved. And I think we're going to get our Discord more involved with the podcast itself and finding some ways to make it a bit more interactive. In addition to that, if you like what you saw here and you're new here, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on podcast sources, and leave us a high rating because it really helps out the show. And with all that in mind, if you really like what we do here and you want to support us, there's a Patreon that you can help donate to. There's YouTube memberships. You can become a member to our podcast over on Anchor.fm. Lots of ways to help the show out. It helps us do things like install lights in this room and build shelves. It helps do that too. So, yeah, if you guys could help, we'd really appreciate it. If you can't, we're just happy you're here. So we will be back in a couple weeks with episode 54 of Nintendo Stuff. Until then, guys, don't break your backs. Break in the games. But for now, break time is temporarily over. Bye-bye.